Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. We're going to do a review of the races over today. Started off in great style for us with One Big Bang winning at Haydock, and then went from bad to worse after that. One Big Bang winning the Potemps qualifier does cover all of our other bets for the day, but we would have liked to have made a profit on the back of starting off with a winner. So what caught my eye? One Big Bang was a good winner. Will surely end up in the Potemps final now. We're likely to go up enough in the handicap to get in. Doddy the Great, I think, won't go up enough to get in. He was only rated 126, so he won't go up enough. I think the eye catcher for me was Zipko, on the basis that he went off favourite. He's only a 6-year-old. We've got to remember a few years ago when he came over from France, he was in the Fred Winter, and he was a really short price for that. But they didn't go for that. They went for the Grade 1s, thinking that they had a Grade 1 horse. He finished 11th on both occasions, beat 4 in the Triumph at Cheltenham, and then didn't beat any in the Grade 1 at Aintree. But things haven't quite worked out since then, until recently. Until he stepped up to win at Newbury, when he went up in trip. He's then ran 2 nice races at Windsor and Haydock, and they've been very careful with him in the fact that they're really patient with him, making sure he gets the trip. I think they need to change that at Cheltenham. They need to be a little bit more positive. They can still, hold him at the back, but they can not be so far out the back. He was off the back of the pack in this race at Haydock for a long time, and being that he's only 6, he's still probably improving. He's still probably finding this trip, as far as he wants to go at this stage of his career. But they've got him qualified, finishing 4th. Probably the one to take out the race for me would be Zipko, on the basis that maybe with a bit of a better ride, they could have gone a lot closer at Haydock. But in hindsight, they probably only wanted to finish in the top 4. They did that. Yes, he lost 3rd right at the finish, but they won't be too bothered by that, because he'll be in the final now. In terms of the final, what prices are all of those that we've just mentioned? So Doddy the Great, I wouldn't be backing him. One Big Bang is short, but going to go up in the handicap. Zipko, that's a big price at 33s, I feel. Considering he could have got a lot closer today in a qualifier. He went off 7-2 favourite for a qualifier. Why doesn't he go off significantly shorter in the actual final itself? I think he'll get in off 131. I don't think the handicap will move him. And if you did want to take the concession of non-runner, no bet, you can get 25s about him non-runner, no bet. If he ran, I think he'd go off a lot shorter than 25s. I think he'd go off 16s, 14s, maybe even shorter than that. They might suddenly be really targeting that race. And yeah, he might just be kept a bit closer than he was today. So he was the eye catcher for me at Haydock in the first race. We then move on to another race at Haydock, where we were keeping an eye on Lavender Hill Mob. Now, I would argue that this was a disappointing run. Finishing 3rd. I didn't want him to win. We've got him as one for the Boodles Juvenile Handicap Hurdle, but I definitely wanted him to finish a little bit closer. Granted, Gibbs Island could just be very good. He's now won twice over hurdles, and maybe he's a very good hurdler. And he's come from the flat. He had form of in the 80s on the flat. Give It To Me, OJ doesn't really suggest that form is amazingly strong. I guess maybe we could say it is still relatively strong form. His 3rd behind East India Dock and Hot Fuss. Maybe that was a really good run. I'm not gonna completely scrub off Lavender Hill Mob, considering he was well supported here. He went off favourite. What price did he drift to? Drifts to 16s. I'd want to wait for the day, because I think he might be a bit bigger price on the day now. He's didn't frank that, or wouldn't be going into the Potemps final with as much confidence as I was hoping off the back of that 3rd. But maybe those 2 in front are graded horses, and he's just bumped into the graded horses, and when he gets to run in a handicap of a handicap mark, he could bounce back. The 150 at Ascot, this is where our luck had gone, or it started to go. Lowry's Bar was a non-runner. Great. I'm like, this is a penalty kick now for Jinko Blue. and he unseats at, what, the second or the third. Terrible. It was a really soft unseat as well. Nico de Boinville just... I'm sure he could have hung on better. Yeah, really disappointing. The Changing Man then won it on the basis that he's a 3-miler. Peaky Boy wants 2.5, and the leave of absence is nowhere near the quality of them. I mean, I would completely ignore that race except to say, let's hope Peaky Boy is dropped 4 or 5 pounds. And if he is, he'll be very interesting when he goes back over fences over 2.5 mile. We go to Haydock again. Whistle in the Dark was making a good effort. He was coming there travelling nicely. I thought he was going to go really close when he made a complete mess of, I think it was the third last. Ended up finishing 6th. He nigh on unseated at Haydock. And all of the others that I was kind of worried about got beat, which was really frustrating. I think a on-song Whistle in the Dark or running to last week's second, and he would have won that. Really frustrating. We then move on to 225 at Ascot, and the frustration continues with Joya Machan finishing second. We've now finished second to Outer Belly twice, with Joya Machan and Aston Martini. That was off the back. Those 2 runs have come off the back of us backing out Outer Belly when he ran at... Where did he finish second at the beginning of the season? Was it Haydock? Second to Jungle Jack. So we backed him, he finished second. We didn't back him, we finished second. We didn't back him, we finished second. I mean, these second places are really annoying me. As for Joya Machan, just couldn't keep up, could he? Couldn't keep up even over the 2-mile 3 trip. Got to go up a bit further. 2.5 at Cheltenham might be key for him. The Martin Pipe is where I'd like to see them go with Joya Machan. Stick Harry Atkins back on board. And yeah, he could be very interesting in that race. It does also, once again, suggest... Is he even in here? Just having a look. No, not at the moment. Let's keep going down. I'm looking for Aston Martini. Oh, don't even think he's got a price. That's another one that I've found for a race that doesn't even have a price for it. Aston Martini would be very interesting in this race. The Martin Pipe, and hopefully that's where Nicky Henderson decides to run Aston Martini with Freddie Gordon on board. We then move on to the 3 o'clock at Ascot. More frustration. The winner, Victorino, the runner-up, 3 under through 5, would have been £9 and £10 worse off with Chambler, who was beaten a length and a half last year in this race. Beat Victorino and was not that far behind 3 under through 5. Dan didn't enter Chandler. I mean, he's got himself so well handicapped. You see, I tweeted this. This was on the 10th of February, but if you think I'm, you know, this was like after timing on the basis of the entries, let's have a look. Chandler, RTR Liam. Here we go. No, that was the 4th of February. December 17th, I was already talking about it. Chandler down 4 to 137. A drop for a horse who arguably found it happening too quick over 2 mile 4. Sent off 3 to 1 favourite, more was clearly expected. Could have been very clever knowing he might be given a big drop with the Swinley chase in mind. Yes, but then he didn't run there. I don't understand trainers. Victorino beat 3 under through 5 on the bob. Snipe just wasn't good enough. Really disappointing from him. We then go to Haydock, more frustration. Yeah, it was a really, really frustrating day for me. Yeah, man, going forward, trying to take on Gele de la Tour at the front, I actually thought was travelling really nicely and was picking up. Yes, he might have been going too fast too early. I'm not so sure. I really like man. I think he's still got a lot to come, and the ground was not an issue for him. It would have been for Gele de la Tour, who wanted heavy going. Famous Bridge won the race. Apple Away again came there looking like she was going to win. I don't trust her at all. Yeah, man, I will give another chance to. Possibly something like the Bet365 Gold Cup at the end of the season at Sandown. Good prize money there, and a race that they should definitely be aiming at. I tweeted just as the race was starting, the Kim Muir winner is in this race. Gitmaker. It's got to be Gitmaker, hasn't it? Gitmaker's form just looks really good. Go back last year, came into Cheltenham, went off 28-1, finished second, but got beat by I Know The Way You're Thinking. I Know The Way You're Thinking went on to win a Grade 1, and then went on to win the, is now 8-1 favourite, for the Grand National. Gitmaker finished second. Gitmaker has to go back for that Kim Muir. Today was running off 138, £5 out of the handicap, so is effective, is rated 133. That's only £1 higher than when finishing second to I Know The Way You're Thinking. Bearing in mind, either I Know The Way You're Thinking is now rated 160, was winning off 145, £15 higher. The runner-up is £1 higher. Gitmaker has to go for that Kim Muir. And looked badly outpaced over, or just potentially hated the ground, just couldn't keep up in the Grand National trial. That's not ideal with it actually being a drop back in trip for the Kim Muir, but I feel the way that race is run just will suit Gitmaker. And yeah, the drift to 33 is ridiculous. If you do have a Bet365 account and you are allowed to have bets on there, 33-1 non-runner no bet is a great price. I would be looking at these sort of prices on the day and be very interested. If I could get 25s non-runner no bet, I'd probably have a bet on Gitmaker, to be honest. That's got to be where they go with Gitmaker, on the basis that last year you got beat by a Grade 1 horse. And finally, the last race I want to talk about is the Betfair Ascot Chase, won by Pictory. Once it all went wrong for Lompresse after making a mistake at like the 4th or 5th fence, it was a penalty kick for Pictory. Corbett's Cross just does not have the pace for that trip. I don't know what they're doing. I honestly feel that JP's looked at the National and gone, I've got 4 or 5 in this race. I actually said last season, at the end of last season, I think he could have 4 or 5 in that race, and they could get the first 5 in the race. And to be honest, I would have put Corbett's Cross as one of, if not the number 1, I would have put him as number 1 for the Grand National of the JP horses. And I would have found some of the others for the Gold Cup, like I Am Maximus, or I Know The Way You're Thinking. Corbett's Cross, they're targeting at the Gold Cup. He's not going to keep up. I don't know what they're doing with him. He's got to be aimed at the Nationals. Maybe they give up now and go, okay, let's try and win the Irish National with him. They could try and do the double, JP could, an Irish National and a Grand National with JP runners. That could be something they might now look at. But Pictory, it wasn't that good of... It was a good performance, don't get me wrong, but it was only what I expected of him once Lompresse was out of the race. And finally, the other horse I want to talk about in this race, Phlegmatic, was allowed to take his chance at 100-1. He's won 9 grand. 9 grand for winning that. And it will leave its mark. That's 3 consecutive weekends he's run now. I would be so surprised if he had the stamina to come to this race here next weekend and win it now. He is so well handicapped for that race. He would have run off 131, £4 lower than when in next second, and £9 lower than when beaten 2.5 lengths when he was 4th. It's just terrible placement. So there's 2 there from Phlegmatic and Chandler, and Dan Skelton has got both of them wrong. I really like the trainer. I think he's a good trainer. I'm worried about his placement now. I'm really thinking he doesn't look through this book very well at all. To be honest, he even mentioned about Gwenny May Boy winning the Rendlesham at Haydock and said it was the owners that asked him to find that race, not him. He didn't want to go there. He was looking at handicaps off top weight. It was the owners who went, can we find a race to run off levels, because we don't like giving the weight away. Dan Skelton, I just wonder whether his placement is not very good. In terms of this race, yeah, I'll just be worried about Phlegmatic now for that. And yeah, it was, once Lompresse had pulled up, it was a penalty kick for Pictory. JP doesn't know what he's doing with Corbett's Cross, or it's either JP or Emmett Mullins, and which is quite a big thing to say about Emmett Mullins not having an idea, because he seems to get pretty much most of his gambles right. Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll end up in the maybe he'll end up in the Irish National and be priced accordingly on the basis of a couple of poor performances, maybe even having disappointed in a Gold Cup, and then get smashed up once he goes back up in trip.